My name is Emily Chris Smith, and what I'm about to share will challenge everything you think you know about the modern world. Before I reveal what God showed me about technology during my near-death experience, I want you to understand this. I was once no different from anyone else, completely immersed in the digital age, with my phone feeling like an inseparable part of me. It all began on November 15th, 2024. Just a few more minutes, I muttered under my breath, my eyes glued to my social media feed as I walked hurriedly along a crowded Seattle sidewalk. A dense morning fog hung in the air, creating an almost otherworldly atmosphere, but I barely noticed. My attention was consumed by the glowing screen in my hand. Though I was running late for an important marketing meeting, I couldn't pull myself away from a viral video that had captured my interest. That was the last thing I remembered before everything changed forever. Later, I learned that a delivery truck had run a red light. The collision was instantaneous, so sudden, I didn't even have time to react. My body was thrown 20 feet across the intersection, but it wasn't my physical state that marked the true beginning of this journey. It was my consciousness. The first sensation I experienced was floating. Not the gentle drifting you might feel in water, but an intense upward pull, as if my very essence were being drawn away from the broken shell of my body below. From above, I saw paramedics rushing to my aid. Their actions were urgent, yet everything seemed to move in slow motion. Nearby, my shattered phone lay on the ground, its screen still glowing with the video I had been so fixated on. But the scene quickly began to fade. The world I knew dissolved, giving way to a tunnel of the most radiant, pure light I had ever seen. People often describe this light in near-death experiences, but words fall short of its true nature. It wasn't just bright, it was alive. It radiated knowledge, love, and understanding, all seamlessly intertwined into something visible yet beyond comprehension. As I moved deeper into this tunnel, I became aware of a presence. No, that doesn't quite capture it. I became aware of the presence. The love emanating from this being was immeasurable, surpassing anything my human mind could ever grasp. I knew, without doubt, that this was God, not the stern, distant figure I'd envisioned from childhood stories, but a source of infinite, unconditional love. It was so overwhelming that my physical body could never have endured it, but in this state, I was able to fully receive it. "Welcome, my child," the voice said, though it wasn't a voice in the usual sense. It was more like a direct transmission of thought into my consciousness. The presence seemed to take a form that my mind could comprehend. Not entirely human, yet not blinding light either. It was as if I were being allowed to perceive only what I was capable of understanding in that moment. What happened next is why I feel compelled to share my story. God revealed to me a series of visions about humanity's relationship with technology, and what I saw left me both amazed and deeply unsettled. The first vision was like witnessing the entire history of human technological progress sped up to a blur, from the creation of the first stone tools to the printing press, the discovery of electricity, the advent of computers, and finally, the digital age we live in now. But I wasn't just watching, I was experiencing the collective consciousness of humanity through each stage. I felt the initial excitement and wonder, the expanding possibilities, and then a subtle but undeniable shift. "Do you see it?" the presence asked, directing my attention to something I had never noticed before. In the vision, I could see golden threads symbolizing the natural connections between people, bonds of love, family, and community. These threads had remained strong throughout most of human history. But as the modern age unfolded, They began to be replaced by artificial connections, digital threads. These new threads mimicked the real ones, but lacked the vital spiritual energy that genuine human relationships carry. Your species has created extraordinary tools, God explained. But you have allowed these tools to become idols. They are replacing the direct connection to both divine love and human love, which is what you were created to experience. The vision shifted again. I saw millions of people, their faces illuminated by the glow of their screens, yet their inner light, what I can only describe as their spiritual essence, was fading. It wasn't that technology itself was inherently bad. God made that very clear. The problem lay in how we were using it to fill emotional and spiritual voids that only authentic human connection and divine love were meant to fill. I was shown social media from a spiritual perspective, and it was startling. Each notification, each like, and every brief digital interaction created a fleeting sense of connection, releasing a small hit of dopamine. But this imitation of connection left the soul malnourished, replacing deep, meaningful relationships with shallow, fleeting interactions. Our spirits were starving, yet we didn't even realize it. But Lord, I asked, isn't technology helping us connect more than ever? We can speak to people across the world in an instant. In response, I was shown two contrasting scenes. In one, two friends sat across from each other at a cafe, their phones set aside, deeply engaged in conversation. Their spiritual energies intertwined and strengthened one another. In the other scene, two people sat alone in separate rooms, each surrounded by thousands of digital connections, but scrolling endlessly, feeling isolated despite their online interactions. The tool is not the issue, God clarified. The issue is that humanity has forgotten the difference between connection and connection. I could hear the emphasis on the second word. You've created a world of constant noise that drowns out my whispers to your hearts. What I saw next was the most troubling. I was shown a possible future, not inevitable, but the path we are heading toward. In this vision, human consciousness had become so fragmented by constant digital stimulation that people could no longer hear the divine or feel true love. Spiritual clarity had been replaced by digital chaos, leaving humanity disconnected from both each other and the divine. This realization was staggering, but the presence reassured me. There is still hope. This is why I'm showing you these things. I was shown social media platforms from a spiritual perspective, and what I witnessed was deeply unsettling. Each notification, like and fleeting digital interaction, triggered a small burst of dopamine, imitating genuine connection. But this illusion left the soul undernourished. We were substituting profound, meaningful relationships with shallow, surface-level digital exchanges, leaving our spirits starving for true connection. But Lord, I asked, isn't technology bringing us closer together? We can now communicate instantly with anyone around the world. The answer came in the form of another vision. I saw two contrasting scenes. In the first, two friends sat across from each other at a cafe, their phones set aside. They were fully present, engaging in heartfelt conversation. Their spiritual energies intertwined, enriching and uplifting one another. In the second scene, two individuals sat alone in their respective rooms, each glued to their screens. Despite having thousands of online connections, they scrolled endlessly through their feeds, feeling increasingly disconnected and isolated. The tool is not the issue, God explained. The real problem is that humanity has forgotten the difference between connection and connection. I could feel the weight of the distinction in the emphasis on the second word. You've created a world filled with constant noise, and it drowns out the whispers of my voice in your hearts. Then came a vision that left me deeply troubled. I was shown a possible future, not inevitable, but the trajectory we are currently on. In this future, humanity's consciousness had become so fragmented by endless digital distractions that people were no longer able to hear the divine. Their spiritual signal, so to speak, was overwhelmed by digital interference. Yet, even in the face of this grim vision, the presence offered hope. This is why you are being shown these things, God reassured me. The next vision, in stark contrast, was breathtakingly beautiful. I saw a world where people use technology with intention and mindfulness as a tool rather than a replacement for true connection. Families gathered for meals without devices, their relationships flourishing in the absence of distractions. Social media was used as a means to organize real-world gatherings, not as a substitute for genuine interaction. Meditation apps helped individuals quiet their minds, making space to hear God's voice, rather than becoming just another form of digital noise. The message was undeniable. Technology is a gift, but like any gift, it must be used wisely. The secret lies in maintaining awareness and balance. Your generation has been entrusted with immense power, God said. But with great power comes equally great responsibility. You must help others understand that while digital connection has its place, it must never replace the essential spiritual connections that give life its true depth and purpose. I was shown how constant digital stimulation is literally rewiring our brains, altering the way we think and experience the world. This shift is making it harder for people to reach the deep, contemplative states where divine connection naturally happens. But there was hope. I was also shown that this change is not permanent. With conscious effort and intentional choices, these patterns can be reversed, and balance can be restored by setting healthy boundaries with technology. What should I tell people? I asked, feeling the weight of this responsibility pressing down on me. The answer was clear and direct. Tell them to look up. Tell them to look into each other's eyes. Remind them that I created them for deep, authentic connections with each other and with me. Every time they choose a heartfelt conversation over a digital one, they strengthen their spiritual core. Every time they put their phones down to pray or meditate, they clear the channel between us. Then, I was shown something so moving it brought tears to my spiritual eyes. God's infinite and unwavering love for every single human being, even those who doubt or reject the divine. I saw how each soul is constantly being drawn toward deeper connection and love, but modern distractions create a kind of static, making it harder for many to hear that call. Your devices are not meant to be barriers between us, God explained. But too often, that's exactly what they've become. When you check your phone first thing in the morning instead of beginning your day with gratitude or prayer, you're prioritizing digital connection over divine connection. When you spend hours scrolling through social media instead of having meaningful conversations with loved ones, you're choosing quantity of interaction over quality. And your spirits are starving for the quality. The presence showed me how many people use technology to avoid uncomfortable emotions or challenging experiences that could lead to growth. Instead of sitting with difficult feelings or addressing strained relationships, they numb themselves with endless scrolling and digital distractions. Tell them about the joy of true presence, God urged. Remind them what it feels like to be fully immersed in a moment, undistracted by notifications. Show them the peace that comes from genuine connection with nature, with one another, and with me. I was shown how countless young people are suffering from anxiety and depression, much of it fueled by artificial comparisons and unattainable standards perpetuated by social media. God's overwhelming love for these struggling souls was evident, and I saw how many could find healing through a renewed focus on authentic relationships and spiritual growth. But do not condemn technology, the presence emphasized. The tool itself is not to blame. It is the unconscious way it is being used. Technology has the power to spread love, to facilitate meaningful connections, and to guide people back to me. The key lies in using it with awareness and intention. As my time with the divine presence neared its end, I was given one final vision. I saw a world where people had awakened to the need for balance. Communities were forming tech-free spaces and times where people could reconnect without distraction. Families were coming together over meals, free from the interruptions of devices, rediscovering the beauty of conversation. Individuals were embracing moments of silence in prayer and meditation, their phones turned off and set aside. Remember, God said, "You are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are not digital beings destined for a virtual existence." This truth must be remembered and lived. God's parting words echoed in my heart. Use the tools you've been given wisely, with intention and balance. Let them enhance your humanity, not replace it. Before I was sent back, I was entrusted with one final message. The technology you've created has the potential to fulfill a higher purpose, but only when guided by wisdom and intention. However, it must never replace the experience of love, both human and divine. This is the reason you were created. My return to the physical world was abrupt. I awoke in a hospital bed 3 days later, gasping for air, surrounded by my family. Their faces were a mix of relief and overwhelming joy. The doctors called my recovery miraculous. My body, severely injured with broken bones and internal damage, had healed at a pace they couldn't explain. But the real miracle wasn't my physical recovery. It was the profound message I had been given to share. From that moment forward, my relationship with technology changed entirely. I didn't abandon it. After all, I'm sharing this story with you now through digital means. But I began to approach it differently, with awareness and purpose. Technology became a tool in my life rather than a substitute for meaningful connection. I created space each day for uninterrupted prayer and meditation. I prioritized face-to-face conversations over digital ones. And in the quiet moments, free from digital distractions, I learned to hear God's voice more clearly. This change has reshaped my life in ways I couldn't have imagined. My relationships have grown deeper, my spiritual connection has become stronger, and my mind feels clearer than ever. Most importantly, I have found my purpose: to help others rediscover balance and rebuild genuine connections in a world dominated by screens. To anyone reading this, understand this truth: God's love for you is infinite and unshakable. The divine presence I encountered wants you to fully embrace the beauty of authentic connection with others and with the divine. Technology can play a role in that journey, but it must never become the destination. Take a moment. Pause. Look away from your screen. Breathe deeply. Recognize the opportunities for connection that are present in every moment. Remember, you were created for far more than digital distractions. You were made for love, for real relationships, and for communion with the divine. How you choose to engage with technology is up to you. Choose wisely. Choose intentionally. Choose love. Since that experience, I've been sharing my story in churches and community spaces, encouraging people to rethink how they interact with technology while staying grounded in their faith. I've witnessed lives change through small yet powerful adjustments, putting devices away during meals, setting aside time for prayer, and focusing on being present with others. It's not about abandoning technology altogether. It's about putting it in its proper place. I've kept the shattered remains of my phone from that transformative day as a constant reminder of the life I used to live and the truth I'm now called to share. Every time I see it, I'm reminded of the urgency of this message. Technology must never overshadow our need for genuine connection. If you've made it this far, it's not by chance. Perhaps this is your moment to reconsider your relationship with technology and your connection to the divine. Each day, every moment, offers you the choice to lift your eyes from the screen, to engage fully with those around you, and to listen for the quiet whispers of the divine within your heart. This message is not just about the potential pitfalls of technology, it's about hope. Hope that we can learn to use these tools with intention and care, staying connected to what truly matters. Hope that we can rediscover the joy of real relationships and the tranquility that comes from spiritual growth. Hope that we can create a future where technology serves to strengthen our ability to love, connect, and nurture our faith, rather than diminish it.